Hey there! Who's in the chat? How's everyone doing? Let's see who's here. Cosmo, welcome. Love and Evil, hello. Abu, Hurry H, Comfy, Lady Natbug, welcome. Alessandra, Kai, Sweeter Than Sydney, Keith, and the One. You are here early. Let's see what y'all got to say. Kai, oh no, you got pneumonia. That's horrible. Hopefully you'll feel better soon. That's pretty bad. Are you sure you're okay to be here? The One says, hi guys, or rather, Anyang, Anyjung. I think you have a typo there, but it's okay. I know what you meant to say. Hello from India. Well, welcome, Rumi. Hair's like, oh, thank you. I think it's, in my personal opinion, it's acceptable. I cut my own hair when I'm in the States, and when I'm in Korea, of course, I don't cut my own hair. I'll go to the hair salon in Korea because they're really good there and it's really cheap. But yeah, I have to cut my own hair when I'm here because it'll get a little bit too long. And when it starts getting just a little bit too long, it bothers me because my hair, I have straight hair, but when it gets long, it starts to curl. It's weird. It's how it is. So yeah, I have to cut it every once in a while. So I cut it again. I don't know why. I could have just let it grow. I mean, I'll be in Korea less than 3 weeks from now. So hello from Italy. Hello from Pakistan. Abu says, I just started learning Korean. Nice. I'm able to read and write and learning vocabulary. That sounds cool. Good luck with that. Where else is everyone watching from? Today is going to be a casual stream. So I'm going to be taking questions. We're just going to talk about some stuff. Can talk about my upcoming trip to Korea, which I will be in Korea from the very end of this month. So how many days are left? Yeah, I think it's like, let me check. Let me look. Let's see. So this stream is just a Q&A. We're just going to be kind of free talking about everything. Next Sunday will be another class. I don't know what the topic will be yet, but I'll put up a vote tomorrow so everyone can pick what you want to learn. And then the week after that, I'm not going to stream because I'll be going to Korea that week, and this room will, I won't have very much stuff set up here. So I think it'll be really difficult to stream that 2 weeks from today. And then after that, a few days later, I'll be going to Korea. So yeah, I'll be in Korea the end of this month. So there's this Sunday and next Sunday, and that's it until I'm back from Korea. So until like August, this is going to be the last regular like live stream. Although I will do some when I'm in Korea. They won't be classes, but we'll go somewhere. We'll get lost. I'll show you something cool. Hello from Jordan, Switzerland, South Dakota, Luxembourg, Germany, mustard. Oh, that's a question. How do I say mustard in Korean? It depends. If you're talking about like mostade, like the yellow mustard is literally, they just say mustard with a Korean pronunciation. That's probably the word you want though, is mustard. Literally, they just say mustard. There's not a separate word for that. There is a word, if you search mustard, you'll get gyoja. Gyoja is not mustard. Gyoja would be what we would call wasabi. It's made of a root. It's like a mustard root, kind of. And that's where they make wasabi. Okay, so this is a fun fact. It's a little fun fact for you all. Let me search the actual word, the English word. I'm sure there's like a scientific word or something they use for it. Let me find it. Chinese mustard? Is that the word? I don't know. I can't find another word for it. Let me just check the chat real quick. Wasabi is made from horseradish. It is not. So yes and no. I'll talk about that. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about that. This is a fun fact. I bet you didn't know this. So gyoja is. I mean, I could just call it wasabi because that's what all of you know as wasabi. When you go to a sushi restaurant and they give you that green paste, that's or when you buy sushi from the supermarket and it has that green paste. That is not wasabi. Why is it not wasabi? If you go to a sushi restaurant and they give you some green stuff with ginger, that is not wasabi. Why? Because actual wasabi is horseradish, and you may have seen like videos, fancy restaurants where they grate it. That only stays fresh for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then it goes bad. You cannot serve wasabi unless you have wasabi fresh at your restaurant. Now, a lot of places do. If you go to a lot of places nowadays, you can go to like a nice sushi restaurant and the chef has actually a wasabi root that they grate. And if you get it, you'll know, because it doesn't taste as spicy. It's still spicy, but it's not as like, it's not going to like blow out your sinuses. And it's not so strong. It has like a lot of fragrance. It's really good. And it's more chunky. If you have real wasabi, it's a lot more chunky and light green. It's like vegetation color green, not green. When you get the stuff that's green, which is everywhere, it comes from a powder or it comes from a tube. It is actually gyoza, which is Chinese mustard, and they color it green. It's just a fun fact. So if you go to the store and you see they'll have gyoza in tubes, it's what we would think of as wasabi, but it's different. Anyway, it's your little fun fact for today. It's green colored gyoza. Because I've had both. I've had actual wasabi, and I also have had what we call wasabi in the States, and they're different, but they're both good. I'm not going to bash on the mustard. Or the root, because actual mustard seed is different than that. That's not from mustard seed. That'll be from like a root. So I don't know the actual word for the type of the root that they use for it, but it is a horseradish, but it's not wasabi. It's not that horseradish. Yeah, it's a different kind of horseradish, but I don't know the actual name. It might be called Chinese mustard or something. Let me check to see if that looks like horseradish. The Chinese mustard. Let's see. Chinese mustard. Yeah, it's kind of like a plant. It's like a green plant. Anyway, I don't know exactly what it looks like, but that's similar to what you'll get. We haven't started food talk. But anyway, if you ever get like the like I said, the stuff that you get at the restaurants, which is like, it's like a paste, it's like Play-Doh almost, that's not wasabi. That'll be like a powdered. They'll make it from horseradish, but it's a powdered. Wasabi is a root. Yes. It's like a really thick green root. And you can buy it. After being able to read Hangul and creating very basic phrases, what would you suggest as a next step? What do you all think? After you've learned the alphabet and you can make very basic phrases. By basic phrases, I assume you're talking about like hello. I don't assume, I'm thinking you're not talking about actual full sentences. Because if you've learned the alphabet, like if you're stating that you've learned the alphabet and basic phrases, what you mean is I learned a few expressions that tourists use, like hello, thank you, where is the nearest K-pop convention, like that kind of expression. I would say you would still be at the very, very beginning, and you would start the same as anyone else. You would get a textbook, or you would start a course. You would start the same way anyone that hasn't started would start. Billy, because of you and your rant on beginner course when I first started my Korean journey, I legitimately icked out cringe when I see romanization in the wild. I do too. It's been like that for a long time. I've always cringed at romanization because of how inaccurate it is. And even letters that seem like it's okay, like you can call this an M, right? You can call that an H, right? No, it's all bad. It's all cringe. So I really, really dislike romanization with a passion because it's okay if you're not trying to actually learn Korean, but you just want to memorize some phrases, then I would say, actually, in that case, I would say don't bother learning the alphabet. It's not going to serve you at all. If you're just going to Korea and you just want some phrases, there's no reason to learn the alphabet for that. I mean, it only takes a few hours, but it's still a few hours, so don't bother. But if you're trying to learn Korean at all, don't touch romanization. Like, if you want to write, when you learn the letter, if you want to write like hiat equals H, like go ahead. It's not gonna hurt you. But do not start writing the words like that, because you do not want that association of a letter with the sound that you're hearing. You don't want to hear a sound and say, oh, I just heard the H letter. No, you do not want that. It's fine to write at the very beginning just so you can have some sort of way to grab on to what you're listening for. Like, oh, it kind of is like this letter. Okay, it's kind of like an M. I'll write M for now. But then do not write syllables and letters, do not write syllables and words using romanization. That's going to hurt you bad. If you have a book that uses romanization, cover that up. Scratch it out. Like anything, just don't look at it. That's going to hurt your pronunciation, because those are not the sounds that those words make. Don't get me started on romanization. I will never stop bashing romanization because I see how much it affects Korean learners negatively. Sarah says, I could say at least like, I'm drinking coffee, I like kimchi. You would still be at the level where I would start with, get my cheat sheets. They're free. So I'm not trying to sell you anything. I have 12 cheat sheets that are free about all of the basic topics. So that'll be conjugation, telling the time, the numbers, colors, all directions, all those things. Get those, and then you would just start the same as anyone else. It's still at the level where you'd want to start with a course book. It wouldn't be at the level where you would go on to something else yet, because that would be the intermediate level. When you're at the intermediate level, actually, I'll tell you a secret. When you've reached a level, so like, actually, I'm gonna give you a full answer for this. Let me just check the chat, make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, Ad Astra. That's what I was going to check the chat to make sure I don't miss, is a donation from Ad Astra. Wow. Ad Astra, how come you are just donating and leaving? I don't like that. I want you to stick around. Bonus for bonus stream. Thank you, Ad Astra. I wish you would stick around, but I understand. You've got stuff to do. You have to go to space. I get it. You have to take care of that wild gorilla in the space station and rescue your father, who turns out to actually not care about you. So then he sacrifices himself to stop the... actually, I don't want to spoil any of the movie. But the movie was surprisingly fun, I remember. Thank you. Billy's beginner course. How was your week? Okay, I'm just reading the chat really quick. Mother's Day. Yes, it is Mother's Day. So I made, I got strawberries. They were on sale. So I got strawberries, and I made chocolate covered strawberries for my wife today. And we got lunch. And what else did we do? That's pretty much it. Yeah. Got your hairs cut. Yes, all of them. Most of them, anyway. Most of them. I cut my hair every month or every 2 months. And I wanted to do it again before I go to Korea, because it was getting just a little bit long on the top. Like it started to curl. Like I would feel it would just like some weird part on the middle was like kind of curly. So I just cut it, but I'll have to get it cut again when I go to Korea. Okay. I was going to, my Siri just responded to your prompt. Sorry about that. I was going to mention someone was talking about something. I was going to give a full response to it. So I get this question really often, and maybe you've wondered about this yourself. So you're brand new and you just started learning Korean. Maybe you're using my beginner course, or maybe you're using a different resource. That's fine, but you're new. You want to know, okay, after I finish this beginner course, or after I finish these beginner lessons, what do I do next? And if you have this question, what do I do after I get to that level where I can make basic sentences? I'll give you the most honest answer I can give you is that when you reach that level, you will not have that question anymore. For the most part, Your question, I should say this. You'll have questions when you get to that level, but there'll be different questions. I've never been asked by someone who's finished my beginner course, what do I do next? I get asked daily from people who are just starting the beginner course, what should I do after I finish this course? So I have a general answer I give them. I was like, well, I have other courses. I have this course, this course, this course. I have a sequel to that course. You can do this, you can do this. All this stuff I tell them, send them off. But the reality is when those people actually finish the course, they don't ask me, what should I do next? Because you'll know that question. You'll have other questions though. You'll say, your question will change. It will no longer be, what will I do next to get better at once I'm there? It's not going to be that anymore. Instead, it's going to be, I really want to focus on, like, you'll know kind of what things you're lacking in by that point. You'll have because it brings you up to a basic foundation. Like I said, it's just about a basic foundation. It's not about getting you to fluency. It's just so you can start to kind of, peer over the trees and see where you are. That's all the course is designed to do, just to get you all the basics so that you're ready to go to actual, what you want to work on. Usually the questions will be something like, Billy, so I finished this course. I can make sentences. I can do this, blah, 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 blah. What's your recommendation for me if I want to work on my speaking? Then I'll say, okay, well, I do have another course. I recommend the conversation course. Or they might say, I finished your course. I have Korean friends. I'm practicing a lot of speaking, but I feel like my writing is really lacking. What do you recommend for that? And then I can give them a different answer for that. Or I feel like my listening's really poor after I finish the course. Like instead of having a general, what do I do? It's more of a, what do I do about this is what will happen. So don't worry if you have that question is what I want to say. It'll go away. You'll have different questions. You'll have more questions, but they'll be more specific questions, which is a good thing. Lil Lily says, what's the live about, please? This is what the live's about today, because all of you voted on a Q&A for today. So I'm going to take questions. Keith says, I've never not known what I need to learn, though it's basically more of everything. That's as you get to a higher level, yeah, it'll become both more focused, like you'll know where your weak spots are, but also it becomes more open because you're like, well, wait, I could learn more about everything at the same time. Yeah, that's just how it is. The more you know, the more you realize how little you know is how it works. Yeah, you will know what to do next. Security Breach fan says, my dream is to speak Korean like Jeremy. Well, the way it works is you have to first be reborn as a Korean child. That's the hardest part, really, for most people. And then you have to hope that you're raised by parents who really want to encourage you to use your Korean, which is I'd say even maybe almost as hard as the first step. But work on the first step first. If you get there, send me a message and I'll help you where to go next. I wouldn't try to get Korean on the same level as a native. The only way to do that is to be a native. Like, there is no such thing as someone who learns Korean to a native level, That's never happened as far as I know of. There's no one like that. There are people who've learned it to near native level where they sound good enough, like no one's going to care. But you can't learn it. When I say learn, I mean like studying and practicing and doing that to learn to a native level for Korean. That doesn't happen. But you can get completely fluent, talk about anything you want. No one's going to complain about how you sound. Yeah. Someone hears you from far away. They don't really think, oh, that's not a Korean. They're just going to, oh, okay. Until they look at you, they're not going to know. Yeah, totally fine. Jeremy, though, is on track to hopefully get to the full native level, but we still have a lot to work on because he doesn't live in Korea. So we're doing the best we can, but we're limited by the fact that he spends most of his time in the US. And then, of course, yeah, you say, I know he's native. Yeah, I'm kind of playing around with your joke, but I'm also giving you a real answer to that. Speaking of Jeremy, your recent videos with him are too cute. I love how competitive he is. Yeah, he's pretty competitive. Do you think Hanja is helpful for early beginner? Camille asks about Hanja. I would say Yes, but not the way you think. Hanja is useful until you're like really fluent. Reading and writing Hanja is just not useful. There are better things you can spend your time on. But knowing the sound of Hanja and the meaning is useful from the beginning. Like after you've learned the very basics, right? You can make some simple sentences. Then yeah, like knowing that there is a Hanja character for te, which means big, and then seeing a word with like te kyumo, te dasu, te bubun, like all of these words with te in them, and being able to pick out that, oh, that means big in that sort of situation. That is helpful from the beginning, but I would not go out of your way to learn like, oh, this is how you write te. Like that's not going to be useful until it might never be useful, but at the least it could be useful from a high beginner level when you're completely fluent, if you want to do that to kind of, to show off or be able to really pick up all the edge cases of Korean usage. Sure. But for beginners, intermediates, regular conversational level speakers, no. Just learn that there's the character, what it means, and the sound of it, but don't worry about how to read or write it. Successful Sunday asks, how is Korean small talk compared to English? Yes, that's a huge topic. I made a video about this before, actually. Koreans do not do small talk nowadays, but traditionally it was kind of like they were more open to it. So if you are with an older Korean person, I would say over the age of 70, you'll find a lot of them like small talk. You can just approach them and make comments about things, like talk about the weather, ask them simple questions. They're fine with it for the most part. And they also like doing small talk to other younger kids. It's not out of the ordinary. But nowadays, Koreans do not do small talk. And a lot of them are uncomfortable with it because they don't know what to say. They're like, I don't know you. And it feels like if you do small talk to someone in Korea, their first impression is this person is a member of a cult that's trying to recruit me. Because Koreans do not come up and talk with someone randomly, ever. Unless there's a legitimate, like a real emergency, they don't do it. They won't do it in English either. That's not to say that everyone doesn't like it, though. Some younger Koreans actually do like small talk, but they would never do it because they know how it would make other people feel. But there are some Koreans that they can't tell you they like it, but they kind of secretly wish that some people would walk up to them and talk with them, especially foreigners. Like they kind of like that sort of culture, but you won't know who those people are. And you can't assume that they will. So I would just say, to be safe, don't do any sort of small talk in Korea. There are some types of small talk you can get away with in Korean, but it would require you to already be at a good speaking level to do it. The safest way, though, if you really want to do small talk, just do it with vendors, people selling stuff. You're going to be okay because they don't really care that it's not the cultural norm to do small talk. They just want your business. So they'll be happy to talk with you about whatever. You can walk up to, like if you go to Myeongdong, the place, they're full of foreigners shopping around there. It's like mostly non-Koreans there these days, buying cosmetics and stuff like that. You can talk with them. You can ask them questions about stuff. They're probably happy to talk because they get foreigners all the time and they want to make sure you're in a good mood. They want you to buy as much stuff as possible. But not just there, like anyone you see selling anything outside in those stalls, they're going to be happy to talk with you too, usually. As long as they're not overly, super busy, they're going to be happy to talk with you. So that I would say that's an easy exception to the rule. Other than that, though, no, I wouldn't try doing small talk in Korea. It can come across as awkward outside of specific locations where they expect it. Like if you go to a club, then they still do have that kind of culture of like approaching someone and talking with them, I've heard. But I don't think most people are going to be going to that kind of place when they're visiting Korea for their first time. Okay. Move to Korea and get immersive. Yeah, Cosma says, "도를 아십니까?" That's the famous expression that I would say you should know to be prepared for that, but I think that cult knows also that people are aware of them, and they might use that expression less often nowadays. But yeah, if you ever hear someone ask you, do you know the way? In Korean, 도를 아십니까? That is a cult. Stay far away. In fact, if anyone approaches you in Korea, your cult meter should be on full blast. I'm not joking. If anyone approaches you in Korea for any reason, your first thought should be, this person's in a cult. And everything else needs to prove to you that they're not. Like, if someone comes up to you is like, oh my goodness, I need help. It's a cult. But maybe they're not. I have to see if it's not. I would need proof to know that it's not. Like, if then they provide you evidence, like, look right over there, there's that person hurt. You need to get over there and help. Like, okay, then you can be, okay, well, I guess this situation, it's not. But your first opinion of anyone approaching you in public for any reason should be the other one could be they're selling you something. Like they're trying to get you to, like someone standing outside the subway trying to get you to donate money. That could be one as well. Other than that, it's a cult. So just know that if some person dressed as a monk approaches you, it's a cult. Monks do not ever approach you. They never ask you for money, ever. So if anyone's dressed as a monk in Korea, approaching you for anything, they give you something, they tell you they're from this temple, it's 100% fake. They are all trying to scam you. And I'm not saying that lightly. They're all trying to scam you. They don't actually work for that temple. They're probably not even from that country. So just be careful. I mean, you don't have to be careful because it's not like you're going to like get hurt or anything. It's just be careful that you only have a limited amount of time in Korea, a limited amount of money. So don't waste it on that sort of thing. For me as a Brazilian, small talks are so common and nicely. I like it too, but in Korea I don't, because I know that if there's someone that comes up to me and talks to me like that in a public area, I know it's not going to be a regular situation. I've had on many occasions people come up to me and talk to me for no reason, and all of them are what I'm talking about. All of them. There was an exception. There was one guy who suddenly comes up to me and is like, oh, excuse me, can you please be quiet? I'm trying to make a phone call. And I was like, that's really weird. Why would someone come up to me and ask me to be quiet? Immediately I knew this is for some YouTube prank video. But I'm like standing there waiting because I'm like, okay, well, what's he going to do next? Like, if I walk away, he's just going to put me in his video. I'm just going to stand here, waited for him to finish his fake call. And then he told me, hey, I'm actually a YouTuber. I'm like, yeah, I knew. You're not going to have people come up to you and talk with you. So just be aware of that. Like I said, there are exceptions, of course. There could be legitimately someone's like, hey, I'm looking for this building that's a place where lots of foreigners go. Do you know where it is? Like they're asking you, like I've had someone ask me once before, hey, do you know where the something English Academy is? And I was standing close to it. So they thought probably I worked there or something. But when I said, oh, I don't know, they didn't try to talk with me. They didn't say, oh, your Korean's really good. They just left because they legitimately were just looking for that place. If someone comes up to you and asks you something and then they start trying to talk with you after that, it's most likely they're trying to get you to trust them so that they can invite you to their, I won't even say church, I'll just say cult. Because regular churches don't do that sort of stuff. It's the cults that go out and do that kind of recruitment. Guy says, I'll book the flights, you secure an apartment, and we'll meet there. Nice. M&M Twix. Oh, hey, M&M Twix. I'm going to be going to Korea, like I said, in about a little over 2 weeks from now. Wow, that's crazy. Just 2 weeks. I'll be in 2.5 weeks-ish. I'll be going to Korea. You say you found a study partner. After doing your beginner course, we started the Korean Made Simple books, and you're working through book 2. Nice. Azamat says, someone tried to give me a cookie a few days ago. Is it a cult? It depends. Did they talk with you? What did they say? I have had Koreans, older Koreans before, see me randomly give me a snack and say, oh, it's nice to see that you're enjoying the country, or, you know, you look like I saw you walking over there filming What are you filming about? Like if I'm doing my YouTube videos out in public, I might get sometimes people approach me after, are you filming something? Like that kind of question is not like, is usually just they're curious. But most people won't even ask that. They just assume, oh, they're filming something. It must be YouTube. But this was an older person, so they didn't really know. They're like, oh, are you filming something? I saw you guys walking around there and laughing. I'm like, oh yeah, we're filming. It's like, here, you must be hungry, and gave me some tok and then walked away. That's not a cult. That's just someone trying to be friendly. But if someone comes up and tries to initiate a conversation, is what I'm talking about. That's a cult. So like I'm saying, I'm not saying that there aren't situations where people will come up and talk with you where it's fine. But if it's someone trying to initiate a conversation, it's a cult. If you still think, no, this is 100% just coincidence. We bonded over this shared interest we had in public, and we're friends, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Are they now asking you to go somewhere with them? It's cult. Koreans would not meet people that way. They assume the same thing about other people, and they do not try to meet other people in that method. So yeah. And I gave a few exceptions, but other than that, be careful. That's when you say no speak Korean, no speak English. Well, I've had people, I was in Daegu, and I had an older man that was swearing at me in French. Believe it or not. I was in Daegu filming a video, and the other person I was filming with can vouch for me on this. And suddenly this older man, he looked probably in his early 60s, maybe late 50s, starts coming up to me and speaking to me in French. Now, I do not look French, and I don't know why he assumed I would speak French, but I actually happened to understand what he was saying because I studied French for about 6 years. I can't speak it very much, but I understand it. And he was telling me, like, how come so many foreigners are here? What are you doing? How come foreigners in Korea aren't speaking Korean? How come you're all speaking in English? Is what he's saying to me in French. And I'm like really quickly trying to remember my French so I can reply. And I think I said something like, je ne parle pas l'anglais. I didn't speak English is what I was trying to say. I think that's what it means. And immediately when I said that, he's like, and he was shocked I spoke French, and he switched to English and started saying the same thing to me again in English. And I replied to him in Korean, 저 영어 한 마디도 안 했는데요. I didn't even say one word in English. And now I'm just like laughing because what is this guy? So I replied to him in Korean, like I didn't even say a word of English, and I hadn't been speaking English. I was speaking Korean with the other Korean friend that I was filming a video with. And then he got really mad. And he's like, no, all you guys just speak only English, and you're just in this country causing problems. And I'm like, I can't remember what I said, but I basically was like, hey, I'm busy. I'm sorry. We have to go. And he kept yelling at us. So yeah, it doesn't really matter if it's only in English. There are Koreans who will speak many other languages to you that you'll find out. Okay. Nikki says, why is there so much cult stuff there? The why is a good question, but there is. I think it's the highest amount of cult activity for any country is what I heard. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what I heard. Most people, though, are not, but there are a lot. Compared to other places, there are a lot. The good news, though, is Koreans also generally think the same thing that we would think, like, that's weird. And especially lately, so even more, there's a lot of negative sentiment toward that sort of, those sorts of groups. So you're not alone if you feel cautious about that in Korea, is what I mean. It's not like everyone surrounding you is going to be in one of those groups. It's just that people are also aware that a lot of people like that exist and are cautious of them. MC says, some cult members approached me twice with the same thing about Heavenly Mother. Okay, I know which cult that is. Yeah. That's a really common one. But there are a lot of them that are fairly common. I've interacted with a lot of them. Any tips for training reading? Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with the comments, but someone said there's an app called Turu Tekbang. Yeah, that's right. That's a good app. I don't think I've used it, but I've heard of it a lot. That was near Korea University. Yeah, a lot of them target the places where younger people go. So whenever I film my street interview videos, you've probably seen a few of those. They're all filmed at the same spot because I like filming in that area. you're not supposed to film there for a long period of time, but they don't really care if you're there for a short time. And there are always people that are trying to recruit there as well. Use the co-recruiters as speaking practice, and then when they ask you to go with them, say you don't speak Korean. After a whole conversation with them, have them sit down for a coffee. Go sit down and talk with them. Ask them to repeat words they teach multiple times. And whenever they say a word that you look up and it's like some religious word, to be like, oh, 저 그 말 필요 없어요. Like, I don't need that word. And just like, tell me a different word. And write it down, ask them to repeat themselves, like try shadowing with them. And then, yeah, when they say, hey, would you like to join our church? 그러세요? 정말 그러고 싶은데 저 한국어 모르는데 어떡하죠? 한국어 잘 모르는데 어떡하죠? Like that. 저 한국어 몰라요. And then they're like, no, your Korean's really good. 아니요, 저 진짜 몰라요. Just do that and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I really want to go, but I can't speak any Korean. I really have to go. I'm so sorry. Maybe next time when I learn more Korean, just confuse the heck out of them. Okay, let me see here. I'm just reading. Alexis says average French behavior. Okay. I mean, I know the reason why he did that afterward, because in Daegu, there's a military base. So a lot of foreigners are there, and some people might have a negative view of the foreigners, especially if they live in like one of those areas really close to there and they've had some bad experiences with them. But it was weird that the guy came up to me speaking in French and that he assumed I was speaking English when I wasn't, and that he would assume I would be causing some problem when I wasn't. I was just talking with a Korean friend. So Green Tea asks, does English still feel easier to speak? Yeah, of course. There's no world where learning a foreign language makes you more comfortable in that foreign language unless you've spent more time speaking in that foreign language than your native language from a young age. Like someone who's bilingual can prefer the other one if they spend more time using it. But otherwise, anyone like me who's learned Korean is not going to ever feel more comfortable in Korean than English. That doesn't make any sense because your native language didn't change to Korean. You're just using Korean a lot. So you'll get to a level where Korean feels comfortable, but more comfortable than your native language is not a thing. So when I'm in Korea, right now, Korean feels comfortable to me, but not as comfortable as English. Okay. Successful Sunday says, how do you think Koreans feel about the sudden rise in people learning Korean? They're happy about it. From the people I've asked, they think it's cool. Do they still struggle with understanding non-Korean accents? Yes, they do. Despite how many people are now learning Korean compared to the past, it's like 100 times more than it was 10 years ago. Despite all that, you still will have where if you mispronounce something, it'll still sound like you mispronounced it and they won't understand what you said. It's not like the level in the US where we're so used to hearing different accents of English that if someone's not perfect, we can understand them as long as we can, clearly hear them. We can make sense of it. It's not the same in Korea. You have to speak kind of clearly for them to understand you. But a lot of them will be, they'll try to do their best to understand you. It's just not on the same level that we have in English. Is the Chinese alphabet similar to Korean? No, it's a different language. What's the difference between 소근거리다 and 속삭이다? If you're talking about you're like whispering, you'd use the second. You wouldn't use the first for general like whispering. If you're talking about like that's general whispering. There was an old lady staying on the street sharing cookies with anyone. There are some strange symbols on the label. Well, what? No, okay, now I'm interested. What were these symbols? Can you share a photo? Here, I'll post a link to my Discord chat in the chat box. Can you go to my Discord and share a photo? If you took a photo of the cookie, I could tell you what it means. I could tell you what it says. They're not just going to have a symbol. They're going to have some words on there. If it sounds what I think, yeah, I'd say it sounds like someone, either they're trying to fish for donations Like I said, it's either someone trying to get money from you or trying to get you into a religion. It's one or the other. But giving out a cookie sounds more like it would be the cult side. Can you please recommend me how to learn Korean through online and YouTube to get TOPIK 1? Oh, TOPIK 1 easy. You can get TOPIK 1 from my beginner course easily. I have a beginner course on YouTube. It's completely free. I'll link that as well in the chat. It's right here. That will get you easily to TOPIK 1. Because TOPIK 1, you don't even, it's divided into 2 separate tests. You only need to pass like a low percentage on the first test to get TOPIK 1. That's basic stuff. You'll get that. TOPIK 2 will take a little bit more practice though, because it's going to require that you've been doing it for a while. But do that course first and then ask the question again, because I think your question will change once you finish that. Man of Honor asks, are there differences in vocabulary or pronunciation between North and South Korean? Yeah, it's the quickest way I can answer it is it's like American versus British English. So different pronunciation, different expressions, different intonations, different culture, all that stuff. But at its heart, it's still the same language. However, unlike American English versus British English, you don't need to learn North Korean for any reason. So that's the good news. Whereas if you're learning English, you'll have to eventually kind of learn all the different versions of it so that you can really get good at English. You'll want to be able to understand different accents. With Korean, you don't need to learn North Korean for any reason. The only exception would be is if you're watching a bunch of dramas where they speak in North Korean, but when they do, they're using fake North Korean anyway, so you're going to be okay. They're not going to use real North Korean. They'll use like a stereotypical, version of that with really simplified words. That way the South Korean audience that's watching it can understand without any issues. So you don't have to worry about that. Starplay says, how long would you say it takes to learn Hangul? So Hangul is, just let you know, Hangul is the alphabet. That's just the alphabet. That's not the language. That's only how you write the letters. And it takes like 30 minutes to learn that. But if you want to learn it really good, you want to learn all the words not the words. You want to learn all the letters. You want to learn all the pronunciation, all the sound change rules. A week, maybe. To master it, it's like a week. But then you're not going to get really good at using it until you can already speak the language, because you're going to have to get practice reading it a lot. But just to learn the alphabet, like a few hours. So you can start with the beginner course that I linked. There's a full 10 lessons of there just for the alphabet. Is it worth to live your whole life in Korea? Sure, if you like living in Korea, then why not? Jason said, is the North Korean accent nice sounding? There is no such thing as a North Korean accent because North Korea is a country and there are many dialects in it. Just like South Korean has many dialects and they sound different. The only one you're ever going to hear is if you watch North Korean TV, which I don't know why you would want to. It's horribly boring. That is a television accent from Pyongyang. And it sounds soft. That's the best way I can describe it. It just sounds soft, but it sounds really different. I wouldn't say it's nice sounding or ugly sounding. It just sounds soft. When's the best time to travel to South Korea? The best time to travel to South Korea is, I think, during the fall. So that's going to be the middle of October until the middle of November specifically. Anytime before that, it's going to be hot still. Anytime after that, it's going to start getting a bit cold. But from the middle of October until the middle of November, you're going to have really nice weather. Or second best is going to be the spring, which is going to be from the beginning of the middle of April until the end of May, I think is pretty nice for spring. But the misemonji, the fine dust particles are usually a little bit better, I think, during autumn than they are during the springtime. I think is what they were. And usually the plane tickets are a little bit cheaper during the fall as well. Love and Evil asks, I've been trying to learn Korean for the past 5 years. Okay, but I really struggle with consistency. I'm still on level 2 of Talk to Me in Korean. Any advice to keep consistent? You might not have any consistency currently. If you aren't able to study Korean on a regular basis, like studying like 5 to 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week, like every single week, plus lots of listening practice, there's no way to learn Korean beyond a certain level. There's a limit to how much you can learn if you're only doing like sporadic studying, like 5 minutes a week, sometimes not listening to Korean shows or anything like that. You really need more time to learn Korean. It's not about how many years you've been studying it necessarily, although there is a limit on the minimum. I could talk about that. You can't learn Korean in a certain amount of time if it's too short, no matter how you're studying, no matter how much you're studying. But you need to do it consistently to an amount that can add up to years worth of time eventually to match what Koreans are able to get in Korea. And if your goal is to say to get completely conversational, at least, then even if I say it could take minimum of a year to get to that level, you would need to be doing lots of studying within that year on a like daily basis. So you just need to make sure you're doing plenty of listening practice though in the meantime. But I have some videos, if you search my channel for the word motivation, there are a couple of videos about how to stay motivated, how to get motivated and stuff like that. But basically just keep in mind, why are you studying Korean? What's the reason for your studying? That can kind of help you to stay motivated. Even when you're not feeling it, you feel like, oh, I still should do it. So Leaf Floor says, what's the best cities to visit in South Korea? If you're a first timer, I'd say stick to Seoul. But if it's not, let me know and I can give you some other recommendations. Seoul has plenty of stuff. Seoul has more stuff than you could ever do in like a year of staying in Korea. So if you're only going to Korea, it's your first time and you're staying for like a week or two, Seoul's got you covered. Helmi says, how long should it take on average to get through the beginner course? I would say in the first 20 lessons, feel free to do those as fast as you want. As fast or as slow as you want. Like if you want to do all 20 lessons in one day, go ahead. As soon as KiCat throws me the audio recorder with native sentences, that's when you want to slow down. Then I wouldn't do more than one a day. Once you get to lesson 20, maximum. Don't do more than one a day, because you might feel like, oh, this is really easy. I can do another one. Cool. Don't. Give yourself some time for your brain to like internalize it. Like, okay. Do a little bit of sentence practice. Do lots of listening practice in the meantime. If you feel like I really want to study more now, just do lots of listening practice and don't do more than like one a day from then. And especially once you get to lesson like 80, the last 20, really don't want to be doing more than one of those every day or 3 days or every, 5 days if you can, because they start covering, it requires you to have all the other stuff down pretty well in order to do each lesson. So yeah, I wouldn't do more than one a day past lesson maybe 20, but the first 20, like it's just the alphabet and sound change rules and stuff like that. You can go through all of that as fast as you want. Kai says, I'm still struggling with sentence structure for longer sentences. For example, how would one properly say, last weekend I went to a winery with my grandparents and we drank some wine and ate good food. So I've already told you this, Kai, but I do have my new upcoming book and course, which I am happy to say tomorrow will be completely finished. So today I'm going to do some more editing. Tomorrow I'll finish the last episode. And it's this, Korean Sentences Made Simple. It'll be released. Actually, I might release the book later this week, but I don't know exactly when. But definitely it'll be released by next week because I have to start posting those videos once per week. And there will be 20 episodes, 20 chapters in here. So same contents as the video course, just with some extra example sentences. Actually, what I'm happy about in the book is the table of contents, which is the first time I've done a table of contents that has everything listed at the beginning. So you can see all the grammar forms and find exactly where they are just by opening it up here. There's like 250 forms. It's actually like 280, but I just say 250 because some of them are like kind of sentence connectors. Some of them are just, I mention it because it's related. But anyway, so yeah, Kai, for your question, all of the sentence connectors you gave in your example are literally just and. So last week I went to a winery with my grandparents. That's one sentence. That doesn't even use any sentence connectors. And we drank some wine. That's your only sentence connector there so far. And ate good food too. They're both just and. You could connect that with either 고 or 서. So if you're doing something and then you do something else, it's 고. We did this and then after we did that, it's 고. If it's something that's related though, like we did this and then we did this as part of the same activity, then you use 서. For example, I went to the store and I brushed my teeth. Are these actions related? Are they part of the same thing? Then you use 고. They're not. I bought lunch with my friend and we ate it. Are these related actions? Yeah, they're part of the same deal. Then you use 서. So when you go with your grandparents, let me read your sentence. You went to the winery with my grandparents and we drank wine. Are those two actions related? Yes, they are. Because you drank the wine with your grandparents and you drank it at the winery. So you would use 서. So you can say like winery, for example, 가서, we went there, and then 같이 와인을 마셨다. 마셨어요. And then your next part, and ate good food. Is that related to the drinking wine part? So we went to the winery and drank good wine, totally related. And then we ate good food. Is it part of the same meal? Like you had wine and food? Then you might just say we ate wine and food. You could say it together as part of the same thing. But if you want to be like, no, we went to the winery, we had wine, and then went to a restaurant and had good food, then you use 고. So it's up to you. It sounds like to me though, it sounds like the first one you're going to use 서 because it's related. You drank wine at the winery, and then you went to get good food somewhere else, but you still did it together with your grandparents, then it's 고. But this is all you need for that sentence. And the new upcoming course also will teach that. But it's really just sentence connectors. Mostly all of the long sentences that you see, it's all just because of sentence connectors, and there's nothing really complicated about them. So if you can make the individual pieces, like for example, if you can make the sentence, here, let me find it. Last weekend, I went to a winery with my grandparents. Period. We drank some wine. Period. We ate good food. Period. If you can make these individual sentences, you can put them into one sentence with sentence connectors. Okay, let me check comments. Keith asks, is it better to use Conglish or learn an actual Korean term? Conglish is fine. If you mean actual Conglish, you're not just saying the English word with an English pronunciation. If you mean the actual Conglish word, then yeah, Conglish is not perceived to be like a foreign word in Korean. They just see it as a Korean word. In fact, they might not even know some Conglish words are foreign words. They just sound like Korean words to them. So yeah, don't feel bad about using Conglish. There's nothing like, oh, the real Korean word is pure and the Conglish is, that's like it's coming into our language and stealing our jobs sort of thing. There's nothing like that. Korean itself, the Korean language itself that is so pure and so untouched and so Korean is itself also from other parts of older Korean and other languages anyway. So don't worry about that. Conglish is totally fine. If you're talking about like just throwing in English words with your regular American pronunciation, well, that's a different thing. That sounds like you're just switching because you don't know the word. But if you're using Conglish, it's totally fine. Okay, let me see if other comments I missed. Green Tea says, if you're saying we did something and the we includes both you and someone. Oh, I see what you mean. No, Green Tea, you would never use honorifics at all if it's including yourself. So you would never say like 우리는 something something 하셨어요. Never, because it includes you, so it can't be raised. Is the order last weekend with my grandparents, winery went? Yeah, you could do it like that. I also mentioned the order in the very first episode of this lesson. I give the sentence structure order. So you can get a reminder of that as well next week when that goes up. But yeah. You mentioned listening practice, says DB. Most of the entertainment media I consume is in Korean. Okay, that's good. But I know I need to be more intentional. Top recommendations for advanced beginner. These days my answer is different than it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I would say mainly podcasts and variety shows. Variety shows in Korea, like talk shows or those game shows where they're like running around pretending that they got caught, pretending that they're running around. You know, they're for entertainment, but they're variety shows. They'll just do whatever. Those kind of shows are what I would recommend. Up until about 5 or so years ago, now my answer is different. I say those are still useful, but I say more useful than that nowadays is like YouTubers. So because YouTubers, you have more options for the topics that you can pick. Now, the quality is not going to be as good as a variety show on TV where they are like heavily edited and fully subtitled and everything. These are more simple, but you get more accurate Korean to how people actually sound. So I would say my top recommendation is going to be somewhere on YouTube or Twitch. Anywhere you can find a streamer is also okay, but that's going to be more useful, I think, than a variety show nowadays. Martis says, your course has been helping me. I just finished the lesson about the present tense, and I was wondering if I should start to learn new vocabulary. In the beginning, you don't need to focus much on vocabulary because you won't be able to use more than a few hundred words until you can start to put full sentences together. As you get better, especially when you get to the intermediate level, you'll really need a lot of vocabulary words. But in the early stages, like when you're starting out the beginner course that I have, I wouldn't bother with other words outside of that course. It already teaches you by itself. It already teaches you, I think, close to like 1,000 words or something like that. So you're totally fine with just those words for now. After that, your best source of words is going to be from actual conversations. So you can do my conversation course, which has another 1,000 or so words. I don't actually know how many words are in this course. I actually wrote it down. Let's see. Yeah, over 1,000. My conversation course has another 1,000 words, and those are like conversation specific words, like real words. And you could try there for more, but I always recommend doing vocabulary in context. So don't just find a list of words or a book from somewhere and copy those down, but try to get try to get words that come with sentences. And even better, if you know where those sentences came from, like who was using it in what situation, that'll always be more useful. And I have a video I made about my favorite active podcasts on YouTube, which you can also watch, which counts as YouTube. I made a list, I think, of 15. So check that one out. If you search my channel for podcast, you'll find a video I made sometime earlier this year about that. Ludi says, I'm marrying into a Korean family and I was thrilled to find your channel. Just started your guide to Hangul. I know I'll create a deeper connection with her family by learning Korean. However long it takes. Nice. Small. Oh, hey, Small. I've been struggling to find listening practice that's less than 10 minutes on YouTube. Do you think listening to around 15 minutes? No, the more the merrier. If you could listen to hours of Korean content on YouTube, that's even better. If you're looking for it to be short though for a specific reason, like if you are really busy and you don't have that much time, I would just say break the video into multiple days. So if I have a really long video, I'll just start watching it, pause it when I run out of time and bookmark it and type the time that I got to in the bookmark name and then finish watching it later. But more is better. There's never a situation where doing less listening practice will help you. Always more listening practice will help you. Korea with Kids says, DB, there are some good beginner podcasts. Try Choi Susu. Yeah, I think I also recommended her channel in my podcast list. My wife's from Busan, but I'm mostly learning Korean from Duolingo and crying nuts songs. Will Koreans think my hybrid Korean sounds ridiculous? Yes. Yes, it will. That is ridiculous. Yes. So if your wife's from Busan, unless she's old, I mean, like, I don't mean old as like, she's old, but like, unless she's like over 60, we'll say, you're not going to have to worry about her Busan dialect. She probably doesn't use Busan dialect. And most people I know from Busan do not speak like they're from Busan. So now that depends on the person though. There are some people from Busan that really sound like they're from Busan, but for the majority, they don't use their accent on purpose because they don't want other people to comment on their dialect. So they'll just speak like how you would hear on what you'd hear everyone use on TV, like however their friends talk. So there are exceptions to that. So I'd be curious if she's someone who likes using her intonation a lot, in which case it's only going to be an issue of intonation, not different dialect, but just a different intonation. Or is she someone who's like, really into her dialect and really uses it? But that's rare. The only people I've met who actually have like a dialect from an area, not just an intonation, not just a slight intonation difference, but like legitimately use a dialect, it's very rare. It's people who were raised by their grandparents exclusively, and that's it. Anyone though nowadays born in anywhere that speaks dialect is not going to use the dialect beyond knowing some expressions and using maybe some of the intonation at most. That's it. It's not going to be like a different dialect, like going to Texas and hearing people speak, I mean, nowadays probably Texas doesn't sound any different either, but you know what I'm talking about, like strong, like Texas dialect like that. You're not going to hear that from most people nowadays. But you might hear like a tiny bit of different intonation in some people from the area. That's Busan dialect nowadays. How would you use iri? Typically, iri is used for this way. Iri oda. Iri wa is like a, hey, over here. But it's a casual expression. It's a casual way to say, iri oseo. It's not your typical way to say, ichok is what it would normally mean. This way, this direction, over here. That's how you're going to hear iri used. Are K-pop group videos useful or live streams from idols? So K-pop group videos, yes. And idol live streams, yes. There is a show that I sometimes watch when I'm on the airplane called Anen Hyungnim, I think it is. Anen Hyungnim? Yeah, Knowing Brothers? Is that what it's called? Anyway, I think that's what it's called, right? Let me check. I see it on the airplane. Is that what it's called? Yeah. Knowing Brothers. So it's just a variety show. It's a scripted show, but it doesn't matter. They make it look like it's all like spontaneous, and it's kind of fun. It's just they invite celebrities on, usually like boy groups, girl groups, and then they play games and they ask questions and they overreact and do all that funny stuff. But it's watchable. And then the main thing about the show is they try to talk with each other like they're all in the same class, that they're all friends. So even though they're all different ages and the host is way older than any of the guests, I don't know his age, but I think he's somewhere in his 50s, I think. But they all dress wearing like the old style Korean school uniforms, and they'll all talk with each other in casual speech. So even though the host and the guests, I mean, the host and the people who run the show are much older than a lot of the guests they get on. Not always, but usually. The guests will speak 반말, casual speech, to the hosts, which is not something you can do in Korean, but that's their concept, is that it's like, let's pretend we're in school together. And sometimes it's funny when the guests don't do that because they can't. They're like, I can't, even though you told me to do it. Like, I can't. It's so weird to use it. But sometimes I watch this because it's the only thing you can watch on the airplane if you take Air Premier to go to Korea, which is what I take normally. and they don't have very many options, but they always have like a few episodes of this show. Yeah. But yeah, totally fine. Live streams as well, really useful. Do you think there are benefits to watching Korean YouTube without subtitles? Yes, there are. A lot. Now, it'll get more useful as you improve, because the more useful a content will be more useful to you the closer it is to your level. Like if it's a little bit above your level, that's going to be more useful than something that's way above your level. And in the beginning, everything is way above your level, right? But you still need something. So if you can, I would say if you're like a brand new beginner, you can't even make sentences at all, try for something that's more for beginners. So try for like one of the podcasts that I recommend in my podcast video. There are 15 podcasts that I recommend for all levels. They speak very clearly that even if you're a brand new beginner, you're still going to be able to pick out words. And that's not how you're going to hear Korean when you go to Korea. So I think they're really good for that. Yeah, Knowing Brothers. Okay. Do you think there are oh, then reading your question again. Cajun says, Language Reactor is an amazing browser exception. Okay, I've never used that one. Yeah, Knowing Brothers. And there are a few other shows, but talk shows, I'd say, you're going to be your safest bet for Korean shows because they are very clear when they speak. So that's why I like them. But if you have it, YouTube, find something you like on YouTube that you enjoy, but just find YouTubers in Korea that make videos about it, and you're set. So you won't feel like you're studying, which is the best part. I am interested in photography, so I watch YouTubers that do photography content, and it doesn't feel like I'm studying Korean. I mean, these days I do so much Korean listening, it doesn't feel like I'm doing it anyway. But if I was, it wouldn't feel like I was studying Korean. It would just feel like I'm watching content about something I want to watch anyway. So that's how you want to do it. You need so much listening content to get good at Korean. Might as well find something that you enjoy watching. And then, yeah, don't turn on the English subtitles for it. Just watch it in Korean. Okay, I'm going to stick around for just 20 more minutes. So if you have any questions, now's the time. Again, I'll be in Korea like 2.5 weeks from now. I'm going to be going to Korea. So next Sunday, we'll have a regular class. I'll be using the board and teaching something. I don't know what. And then after that, there will not be a live stream like this until I'm in Korea, when I'll do some walking live streams. We'll do something streaming from somewhere cool in Korea together. But these classes will be gone until I'm back from Korea. So until like August, you won't be seeing any of these classes. Just letting you know, next Sunday is our last class until August. DB asks, do I need to reduce my use of subtitles? In English, yeah, you don't want to be using subtitles in anything except Korean. Maybe start with rewatching familiar dramas and the second time without subtitles. That's fine. The reason, though, I say don't use subtitles at all is because I'm assuming that you don't have time to rewatch these shows again. I'm not assuming that you have all the time in the world. Ideally, this might be the best way. If you have unlimited time, watch your favorite drama. Who cares? Just watch your favorite drama. Turn on the English subtitles, right? Make it really loud, eat popcorn, talk with your friends, enjoy it, laugh. Ha 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 ha. Woohoo, wow, that a character fell in love with the other character, but he had a bullet in his head and now he has cancer and he's dying, but he's going to donate his eye to save his girlfriend. All this stuff. Watch it, enjoy it. The show's over. I love that so much. I'm going to watch it again. Turn on, watch it again. Watch the whole dang thing again. Watch it with English subtitles for all I care. Woo, that was fun. I want to watch it again. Watch it again. This time, turn on the Korean subtitles. But you kind of know what happens. So turn on Korean subtitles, watch it again. Oh, I love that show. It's still great. Then next time, watch it without any subtitles. That's the best way, right? You know the show really well by the third time you watch it, that you know what they're saying or what they're talking about. Even though you're not going to know all the dialogue, you're going to know, oh, this is where they do this. This is where they talk about this. That's the best way, because then you know what they're talking about and you can really follow along. But that takes so much more time than just watch it without any subtitles at all. And you're still going to get a lot out of it because you're trying to understand it. It's just a matter of how much time do you have. Speaking of which, Squid Game season, I'm not going to call it season 3. Season 2 part 2 is going to be coming out next month, I think, right? Or is it early July? I think it's the end of June. Anyway. Lori asks, should you listen and learn the writing at the same time? You'll learn the writing first before anything. It only takes an hour or so. Kai says, my friend is overhearing the live as he does some stuff around the house. And he said, even though I'm not learning Korean, I can tell I like this guy. He seems like a really good teacher. Your friend did not say that. Come on, Kai. We know you don't have any friends. You've got pneumonia right now. You're alone in your apartment. Sorry. Okay. Tell him that he needs to be learning Korean because you never know, right? You never know. It's that fear of missing out. Just think about it. Think about it. And think about it again if your answer is no. Think about it until your answer is yes, and then I'll be right here. Let's see. Dare QK Man asks, do you have any tips on vocab? Yeah, don't worry about vocab until you are able to make simple sentences already. DB says, you answer my subtitle question. I'm a photographer too. Would love recommendations for Korean photography podcast. So not a podcast, but a YouTuber. Yeah, I guess I can. Search for, oh my goodness, that is hard to read. I'm sorry, I'm going to rewrite that. I didn't want to write it in red because it's his name, so I grabbed the first pen that was there and it was green and you can't see it. Chemate. He's one of my friends. If you search his channel, you'll find actually we did several collaborations together. I'm on his channel. So you can find 3 videos we did together last year in the summer. Was it last year? No. That was 2023. That was when I was brand new to photography. In 2023, we filmed several videos together. But he does like lots of videos about photography. I like his videos. I watch all of them. I subscribe. Let's see. I would understand most of what's said if I pause and read the subtitles, but it's more beneficial just listen and not understand everything. Yeah, it's more beneficial just to force your brain to work as hard as it can. June 27th. That's right. That's the season 2 part 2 release date, which is the end. I don't think they're going to do a season 4. At least there are no plans for it that I've heard of behind the scenes or anything. Security Breach says, is it unheard of to compliment quickly while maybe walking past someone? You wouldn't do that. Have you tried learning, at least not in Korean, not in most situations. Have you tried learning any languages after you learned Korean? After Korean, I did Mandarin and I did Cantonese for like a month or 2. It was okay. I just realized I wanted to stick to Korean, so I haven't gone back. More Milkus and Blue Lemonade. Mikey, I have... Mikey's been funding my my Milkus obsession. The first time I do a stream in Korea, Mikey, I've got to get the Blue Lemonade and Milkus and make it on stream to show everyone just how good it is and how cool it looks too. Especially when it's hot. It's like hot outside and you want a drink that's refreshing, that's not just sugar, right? Because it doesn't just taste like sugar when you make it. It doesn't just taste like syrup or anything. It's so nice. Thank you, Mikey. Small says, called you nice just to hear you absolutely roast Kai. Kai is dead. Kai could use a language partner. Yeah, Kai, you need a language partner. Okay, Kai, you can use my face if you want to get a language partner. I give you permission. Just use your Photoshop skills to make my hair long and make my chin really sharp. So, you get more friends if you look, you look like really attractive, right? So make sure my cheekbones are like really big, make my chin really sharp and make my eyes giant like an anime character and just give me long hair and you can use my photo. Upload it. Find some Korean friends. Say, hey, my name's Billy. I'm a Korean teacher on YouTube. I'm looking for Korean friends. I'm still learning Korean, but they won't really think about that. That won't trigger any flags. Because you just need some language friends. Kai says, he did, I swear. He just said, great marketing strategy, smart man. Learning Japanese, yeah. Japanese is fun. I'm not going to say don't. Go ahead and learn Japanese. Because you know what? If you learn Japanese, you're going to come to the realization that like 9 out of 10 Japanese learners that I know is that they give up learning Japanese and they switch to Korean. That's the funny fact is a lot of people I know who speak Korean today started off learning Japanese, including myself. It's just how it works. You start learning Japanese, you start watching anime shows, and you're like, you know what? Why am I learning Japanese? Just to go to Japan? Korean, I should learn Korean. Because then I can watch Squid Game. I can interact with my favorite K-pop groups. Japan doesn't have K-pop. They have J-pop. I don't want to learn the J-pop language. I want to learn the K-pop language. So everyone ends up going over to Korean. And because they're learning Japanese, they're like, I don't want to learn all this kanji. What is this? I just wanted to learn the language. I don't want to have to learn this. Korean looks simple. The alphabet, they said it takes like 30 minutes to learn. I'm going to do Korean. That's how they get tricked into it. I'm going to do Korean instead. And then they end up learning Korean to like fluency. That's the story of everyone who learns Korean is they actually started off learning Japanese. Even if you didn't start learning Japanese when you started Korean, you actually did. You just forgot. You blocked out that experience from your life where you were studying Japanese first. It's just what happens when you learn Korean. So to anyone thinking, should I learn Japanese or learn Korean? I say learn Japanese. You're going to come crawling back anyway. I'll give you a year. I'll give you a year before you realize, oh, I actually want Korean instead. So that's what happened with me. Let's see. Justin's wife says, I got 2 Korean learning books and it helps. I'm on my 12th page. Justin's wife says, I'm learning Korean just to find a Korean boy. All right. It's legitimate. Kai's friend, start with Korean and then language stack Japanese. Good luck with that. It does not work. You're going to end up just picking one of them because they're going to be confusing. DB says, some dramas are worth the rewatch, so I'll pick some to rewatch in the way you described. There are other photography YouTubers that I like, but that's the one that's the most consistent. I do subscribe to like maybe 8 or so, but most of them don't upload that frequently, so they're just in my subscriptions, but I never watch them because they don't post. Another one I sometimes watch is, I think it's SMDB. Is that right? Let me check. Let me check my YouTube. Who have I subscribed to on YouTube? Yes, SMDV official. I also like their YouTube. It's for photography. Everyone else, you can ignore this. Let's see. I'm just looking at my my YouTube subscriptions. Let's see, who else do I like that I would recommend? Oh, okay. Another one I recommend. This is not photography. Is it Lim Toon or Lim Toon? I think. Yeah, Toon. Sorry, not Toon. Toon. Lim Toon is a they make horror story animations, but they are so cute. They're so cute. It's a narrated horror stories in Korean, but they're simple. They're like stories, so they use pretty simple Korean. It's not too fast, and they're supposed to be scary. They're all really creative, at least, but they're cute because the animator has fun making them. So anyway, if you watch one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that they're cute. I recommend her channel also. I think it's her. It sounds like a girl. Let me see. What else would I recommend? Yeah, and I see I have a bunch of other YouTubers that I subscribe to, but they don't upload. It's like really rare. So I'm not going to recommend those because it's so rare that they upload. Just those. And then there's another one I watch, but that the level is way too high to recommend to anyone. So I think these are that's what I read. So photography and plus the Chemate, the other one that I gave you, and then Limtun for everyone. Yeah, go to Limtun and be like, Billy sent me here, and they'll be like, who the heck are you talking about? Keith says, I started Japanese because I wanted some kanji image association, though I'm aware they aren't always identical. Right. For the most part, they are, especially for like scientific words and advanced vocabulary. They're pretty identical. But for like common words, they're really different. Small said, waiting until I get good at Korean before I even entertain Japanese. Sure. Hey, Billy, I just started your YouTube free Korean course 2 days ago, and I'm really enjoying with it. Thank you for your work. You're welcome. Hope you enjoy it. Chins asks, is it worth considering teaching English in Korea for someone who's more interested in immersing themselves in Korean culture? Honestly, that's the only way you're ever going to get to Korea, guaranteed, is by being an English teacher over there. Because the other ways to get over to Korea, one of them is if you are like a software developer, if you have some specific talent that a company would be okay with hiring a non-Korean person to do. When they can hire a Korean and pay them less and they already speak Korean, why would they bother hiring someone where they have to sponsor their visa who doesn't speak Korean yet? They won't. But if it's for a specific skill that is very high in demand, like you're a really good software developer, which is just so happened to be one of the jobs I know a few people do, otherwise it's going to be hard to get to Korea. Another exception would be is if you work for a foreign country, not foreign country, but you work for a big company that has a branch in Korea. Like let's say you work for Microsoft in the US, but for some reason they need you for your specific skill set to work at their Korea branch. Then congratulations, you're in Korea making a US salary, making a ton of money, but you're living in Korea. Otherwise, the only way to get to Korea, besides going to Korea as an exchange student, right, attending classes over there, the only way is to be an English teacher. So a lot of people do that. It's a quick way, easy way to get over to Korea. Not easy to be there, but easy to get over to Korea by being an English teacher. So if you want that, yes, that is one way to help immerse yourself in Korean culture. As long as you're motivated to immerse yourself in Korean culture and you don't just immediately make a bunch of English speaking friends and go out drinking with them every day, spending all your money and spending all your time not learning about Korea, it could be a really good opportunity. Lady Natbug said, after researching Japanese, I went with Korean. So glad I did. I've tried learning different languages. Korean is amazing. The more I learn, the more I love. Nice. That describes my situation exactly too. I was learning Japanese, did Japanese for a few years, but then I decided to go, I'm just going to stick with Korean. So I even went back and tried to do Japanese again later on. And I realized like, nah, I just want to do Korean. Cosma says, what's the YouTuber that has, I can tell you in Discord. I don't want to send a bunch of people who are going to be so confused when they watch his channel. But okay, yeah, I'll just tell you. Let me double check that I spelled it right. Yes. I did. I know my YouTubers. I just wanted to make sure I got it right. This guy, I swear, people are going to be like, what the heck? Billy, why'd you send me to this guy? And this guy's going to be like, what the heck? Why did I get a bunch of subscribers that don't even, that are like commenting in English or like, obviously they're foreigners. What's going on? What did I do? He does videos. What makes him really difficult is like, I can understand him fine, but he does kind of like narration style videos where it's a voiceover of the whole video for most part. And the rest of it's just filmed him talking with a GoPro, but he speaks quickly. So really fast. So that can be difficult for beginners. And the topics he does are more serious topics about like Korean culture, or like he'll visit cities that are dying in Korea and then explore them. He does lots of videos about Korean cults, which is kind of interesting, and videos about like trying camping out in random places. But yeah, he's a newer YouTuber. I don't know how I found him, but I started watching his videos and I like him. But watching him, I feel this is not for beginners because he's just way too fast for beginners to follow along. And I don't think his videos come with English subtitles. They do have Korean subtitles built in, I think, but I don't think they come with English subtitles. Kai says, which of your books have you been the most excited to put out? Most excited to put out was probably the Korean Conversation book. Yeah, I think I was really happy about that. Although it probably sells the least of all my books, is the Korean Conversation Made Simple. But it's okay. That was probably my favorite. The new one coming up took a lot of work. I've been working on that 7 days a week, 6 days a week, because I do live streams on the 7th day. 6 days a week since the beginning of January. I've been doing that book. So that one that one took a very long time, all the way up till I'll probably release it, like I said, maybe the end of this coming week. So what, almost 5 months nonstop to make 20 lessons? It's been a lot of work. Justin's wife says, since I started learning Korean, you really helped me out with the stroke order. Nice. Glad to hear that you like the stroke order. You appreciate that. That's going to be really useful to you. Nikki said, I'm a software developer, but the work culture there sounds insane, so I'll stick to holidays there. So yeah, Nikki, the way to get around that is if you work for a startup, you might have better work culture than if you go to work for like one of the major, like Samsung or something like that. You're going to have a little bit better culture at the startups, the small companies. Now, you might end up working more hours, but they might be more enjoyable hours. So yeah, the work culture there is not, if you're used to a Western style, like everywhere else, work culture, you're not going to like the work culture over there, which is one of the reasons why I'm not looking for a job in Korea. DB says, you mentioned the air travel. I forgot to make note of the name. So I do Air Premia, which is like a Korean low budget, and not low budget, but slightly more affordable than Korean Air. If you have the money though, I'd recommend Korean Air. I don't. Woo! But Air Premia will get you there, but they have different rules. The stuff you can pack, how much weight you can bring, how strict they are about different things, what kind of food you get, how many meals and snacks you get, how they talk to you. It's all very different. I noticed that on Air Premia, they won't even often speak to me in Korean. Like their training tells them use English no matter what if the person doesn't look Korean, is kind of what I feel like they are trained. Whereas Korean Air, if I speak one word of Korean, they're happy just to switch over into Korean because they don't care. But Air Premia, I found that if I speak Korean with them, I have to have like full conversations with them before they'll decide to switch to Korean with me. So I prefer Korean Air when I can, but there are pros and cons. I mean, you pay more for it. So for me, it's not worth the extra $300 for the flight. I'll suffer a little bit just so I can get to Korea for me. And I probably would find a cheaper airline if there was an option. Any tips for getting better at talking in Korean? Yes, by talking more. That's the only way to get better at talking in Korean. It's just more speaking practice to get your mouth muscles used to it, to get your brain used to creating sentences. That's not going to happen solely from listening. Although you can't just speak but to yourself and get really good at speaking. You have to have, feedback. Do you have any recommendations for sports-related Korean content? I don't. But if you search the sport name in YouTube and the type of content you're looking for, I'm sure you're going to find it. Like, do you want commentary? I'm sure you're going to find YouTubers who do commentary on sports. Jovante asks, any place you haven't visited yet in Korea? I've never been to the southwest part of Korea, to that whole area. And I've never been all the way to Gangneung, which is the northeast part of Korea. But I've been pretty much everywhere else, at least anywhere that has anything to do. I've been. But yeah, not those areas, not the southwest area, not the northeast area. But I've been to, you know, south, southeast, everywhere, middle, a lot of the middle stuff, west, northwest. Like I've been all these other areas, just not those areas. I would go if I had someone to meet. If I make a friend that lives in those areas, yeah, I would totally go. But I don't have anyone yet. Let's see, is this chat still working? Okay. All right, I'm just gonna stream for another 10 minutes. 10 minutes more, and then we'll stop for today. Since it's Mother's Day, are all of you doing anything for Mother's Day? Now, Korea doesn't have a Mother's Day, but it did have a Oboinal, which is like Parents' Day. That was already a while back, though. I think that was like last week. Yeah, that was last Thursday. On the 8th was Oboinal, which is Parents' Day. Now, some older Koreans might be familiar with Mother's Day, though, because I think they used to do it in Korea a long time ago. But not these days. You don't really do anything for it. It's just Parents' Day. Mochi says, is it really hard for me to understand? Is it? Oh, it is. Sorry. It is really hard for me to understand a native speaking Korean. It's really fast. What should I do? Find content that's slower. So podcasts. I have if you search my channel for the word podcast, you'll find I made a podcast recommendation video for all levels. So in there are podcasts for beginners also. That's what I would focus on. Find podcasts that are really for beginners. And some of them are like they speak really slowly and simply, and they have the full sentences on the screen, and you can just watch them, and they're like 30-minute videos. You get lots of listening practice. Do that. You need to do some content in Korean, and more the merrier. Okay, Lee So Sum, or I'm not sure if you want me to pronounce that different way. How would you say Hanja helped you with learning Korean? I talked about Hanja actually about 30 minutes ago, so I won't repeat any of that, but I'll just give you a quick example. If you learn the word like ko means hi, then if you hear ko something, you might be able to guess the word. Oh, maybe that's related to hi. If you hear the word 고등학교, high school, it might help you to remember that word, even if that doesn't really, you don't really think of the literal meaning of high school meaning high, but it is. But it might help you to remember that word because you know the Hanja ko means high, and the opposite, 저, is low. So maybe you hear something like 저 something, oh, maybe that's something with low. Yeah, it might be. So that's how Hanja is really helpful in like regular usage. I would learn it, but like I said, don't focus on reading and writing it. That's not going to be helpful to 99% of learners. And it really is not even helpful to fluent speakers, but it could be if you're looking for like really close to native level, learning certain Hanja. Like the days of the week are going to be useful, even the reading, writing of those, like elements, like fire and all that stuff. And basic ones like love, the numbers, the numbers from 1 to 10 especially. Beyond that, though, is not commonly used. Is Jeju foreigner friendly? Yeah, I'd say. I mean, if you're going to Jeju, you're going to be in the foreigner tourist areas. So yeah, you're going to be fine there. If you're someone who's like really, really loud and crazy and throws your trash everywhere, then nowhere is going to be friendly to you. But if you're asking this question, it means you're someone who's concerned. It means you're someone who cares. You're not going to have any issues. Strawberry Key says, what are some of those podcasts? Search my channel for podcast. And I made a whole video about it. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like how tur means exit or leave. Yeah, it means to come up or to leave, to go out. Exit. You can think of it like that. Doesn't always mean go away, though. Lady Natbug says, I'm missing out on our Mother's Day get-together because I'm not feeling well, but well enough to hang with Billy and y'all. Nice. Okay, I'll take a couple more questions, then we'll stop for today. Hi asks, do you think you'll ever run out of things to teach? No. I've thought about that though. Like, will I run out of beginner topics to teach? I mean, the real answer is no, but the other answer is also no. Because realistically, if I wanted to, I could keep making content about the same beginner topics over and over and over again, right? Just brand it differently. Make unlimited clickbait videos about the same stuff. Make 100 videos about why you shouldn't use romanization and just make them all different titles, different thumbnails, make them seem like they're different topics, but it's really the same thing at its core. Don't use romanization. But the other answer is, I mean, yes, I would run out of topics to teach, but no, I'm not worried about running out topics to teach because there's always more that I could teach that doesn't have to be beginner level. Like if someone comes to my channel and they're beginner level, I have a whole course for them. I have multiple courses actually. Tons and tons of videos they can watch. But if someone comes back to my channel after the beginner course and they're like, what should I do next? I've got plenty of stuff for you too, and I'm making more. In the current project I'm doing right now that I just made, there are a large amount of forms in that book, in the new course, that I've never taught before. I haven't even mentioned anywhere before. There are still plenty of more topics I can teach. Because while making sentence connectors course, I realized that I also wanted to include sentence connectors that are spoken only, not only sentence connectors that are like official ones, like ho and sol that I gave you. Those are like official ones. But I also realized I want to teach how do people actually use these sentence connectors, because there's more than that. There are a lot of ones that are spoken differently when they're in speech versus how you're going to teach it. And there are a lot of them that are used in speech, but no one would ever teach it because they don't think that it's a sentence connector. They just use it as a different piece of grammar, not realizing that they're using a piece of grammar as a connector for a sentence. So I include all of that, a lot of that stuff in there too. So there's like informal sentence connectors and some stuff, yeah, I've never taught before. So I'm not really worried about running out of stuff. And then even if I run out of all the beginner topics, say I will, then I got intermediate concepts. And even after I run out of all of those, I got plenty of advanced. And let's say I run out of every actual grammar form and every version of every grammar form ever. Then I just turn on my live stream and direct people where to go. Like an information desk. Like, oh, hey, I have a question about this topic. Well, go right here. I have a video specifically about that topic. Well, what if I want more information about it? Well, go here. I have another video that goes into more detail and this topic. Like, that's kind of what I'm going for, is to be like the, there's an app for that. That sort of thing for my video content. I want to have every type of content that you would ever need for learning Korean. In fact, I have coming up this week, many of you already know if you're on my Patreon page. If you're not, you should join because there's something you can get on there right now in the free tier. I have Korean study notebook pages coming up. So you can get 13 free Korean study notebook pages. So I'm trying to, help people who want to make notes to study with whatever resources. I have my cheat sheets on there for all the beginner topics, and I might make more of those. So I have plenty of content that I can do, even if it's not just like video about this lesson, like that. So yeah, I'm not worried about running out. And then I'm also going to be filming in Korea this time, lots of videos where we just talk about topics. So not necessarily grammar forms, but like, another video, like how long does it actually take to learn Korean? Where we talk about, to get to this level, it takes this much time. To get to this level, it takes this much time, as well as what are the minimum amounts of time. Like if someone says they learned Korean to fluency in 4 months, like you can know that's not true. This video will talk about that sort of stuff. Plenty of stuff coming up. Don't worry. Yamada. I don't know what currency that is. What is R? Is that Brazilian real? Thank you. That's like $2. You say, thank you for your content. Just started my Korean learning again today. Nice. How do you say thank you in Brazilian? That's not a language, is it? What's the language? What's the language you use there? It's not Brazilian. What do you call it? Okay, will we pick the topic for the next lesson? Yes, I'm going to put a vote tomorrow. If you have any requests for topics you want, let me know. Although I do prioritize members. If you have a request, you can still give it. Are there anything you have not learned in Korean? Yeah. I haven't learned everything in Korean. I'm not a native speaker. So if you find some obscure name for a plant, I probably don't know it. Although I do know lots of random plant names because I used to, when I'd walk around like gardens and stuff, I would look at the little signs for like the scientific names of plants and stuff. I remember one of the words, Shizanamu, is like gardenia plant, like random stuff like that. But I barely know like a handful of names of plants. So if you were to find like some specific plant or bird or animal or scientific element or something like that, I'm not going to know it. But the good news is you don't need to, because if someone used that word, like a really specific word, and I heard blah, 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 something namu, I'm like, oh, well, it must be the name of a tree. Or if I don't know, I can say, what is that? What is that you just said? So it's not really going to be a problem. Where will we be able to get your book? It'll be on my website. So there will be a PDF version directly from my website, as well as an ebook version. And then there will also be links to get a print version. Yes, Lady Natbug. I could update my old videos. Polygon said, would it be possible for you to release a sequel to Korean Conversation Made Simple? I want to, but I can't because it didn't sell well. At least not enough for me to make a sequel, because it took me 3-4 months to make that course, because it was 20 lessons and the book has 25. So I was working on it a lot and picking out, you got to get natural conversations that feel real, but still can be catered to include grammar forms that you want. So getting that was also really hard. That was a challenge, to come up with conversations that really sound natural, but also still include the forms I wanted to teach, but without it sounding like it was someone purposely trying to say an expression in the middle of a conversation. So that sort of reason, and because of how much time it took and how expensive it was, I probably can't release a sequel. But if that changes, maybe people will find it. Maybe it'll sell better. Then yeah, I mean, I could keep going with that course forever, because that's a good, like, it was really simple to make besides that. And it's a good way to learn by analyzing conversations. Portuguese. Okay. I didn't want to say Portuguese because I was like, well, that's in Portugal. They use Portuguese in Brazil too. It's like, I think it's Portuguese, but I don't want to say that. I'm going to be wrong. Okay. First time here, it's just KoreanMadeSimple.com. Or actually, no, KoreanMadeSimple.com. I own that domain, but it's broken for some reason, actually. It's actually, let me give you the real link. That should post the link. There we go. I see Keith enjoyed the course and the book. I liked it too. Like I said, I had a lot of fun making it. And when I did the native audio recordings for that, so I hired 2 native speakers to do the recordings for that. And normally when you hire someone to do recordings and you tell them that it's a textbook, they're going to be like, they're going to read it like it's, like it's a lesson. Oh, hello, Mr. Smith. What are you doing on this fine autumn day? Good evening, Thompson. Well, I was just considering going outside and meeting my friend. And how about yourself? Like, that's how it comes out, right? Normally when you write a lesson, because you want accurate. No, when I did the conversations, it was from the very beginning, from the instructions for writing the actual conversations, was pretend this is literally just something you're saying to your actual friend in Korea, not Like, you're not saying it on a podcast for the world to hear. You're just talking with your friend and no one else is listening. That's the idea that I went into it. So, and then when I did the conversations for recording, I told them as well, say the lines to yourself as if you're actually saying them, not like you're reading from a book. So, including when you say something in a funny way, including if you say something really fast, including if you change the pronunciation and you don't read it the way that it's written, including if you change stuff that I wrote. So I allowed the people who did the voice files, I allowed them to change my script if they wanted to. And a few points where they would remove like an object marker, or they would, oh, I actually want to say this word with this accent. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So we did that. It was kind of like working together with that. That's why it took a little bit longer than it normally would. Just because I wanted it to be real conversations, like you're eavesdropping on a Korean, but it is still, at its core, it's still scripted, but it's scripted to be as natural as possible. So if you're curious, the course is free. It's 20 episodes in the Korean conversation course. And yeah, you can hear what does a Korean conversation actually sound like. Obviously spoken so you can hear it. They're recording it, but it's still like a real, just like you would hear in the real world. Sometimes people will ask questions and then there's just no reply. The person will say something else, like that sort of thing. I finally caught you doing a live stream. It's tough keeping up with someone living in different time zone. Oh, nice. Yeah, okay. That's actually, you caught my live stream, but I'm actually ending the live stream right now because I've been doing the live stream now for almost 2 hours. So I'll take one more question. 유튜브 보고 팟캐스트 듣고 있어요. Nice. Cosmo says, the more I learn Korean, the easier it becomes. So feel if someone is Korean or not by the way they speak. Yeah, you can tell. Yeah, if someone, if I hear someone speak Korean, I'll know in 1 second if they are a Korean or not. But that's not a big deal. But you can also tell a lot of stuff. You can tell when someone's just reading versus when someone's speaking by their intonation. That's another pretty easy thing to tell. I saw an advertisement. I think it was an advertisement on, was it on Instagram or was it on Facebook? I think it was on Instagram. And they were talking about how much Korean they learned in 6 months or something like that. And I could tell in the first 3 seconds that they were reading from a script that they didn't even write. Like you could tell they didn't even know the word that they were saying. But all the comments on the video were like, wow, you learned so much Korean. I can't believe you knew that word. I'm like, you don't know what's going on out there. But yeah, it's pretty easy to tell how much Korean someone knows when you talk with them for a few minutes. It's hard to tell how long they've been studying Korean, but you can tell how much, it's easy to tell how much they know. So as soon as I start talking with someone in Korean, you can know right away their Korean level, but you can't always know how long did it take for them to get there. Was it like a year to get there, or have they been studying for like 7 years? 빌리 수업 들으면서 영어 익혀요. It's funny. I want to get to that level that I can tell. I don't know what level that would be. I don't think I was able to tell when I was conversational, because I remember being just conversational at Korean, where I could say anything I wanted to say and I could talk with people without any difficulty for the most part. But I wasn't like actually like fluent-ish, but I was, conversational. And I don't think I would have noticed if I heard someone else speak Korean. I wouldn't have known what their actual level is. I wouldn't have been able to tell if they're just reading from a script. But when you get a lot of listening practice, then you hear someone speak. You hear Koreans speak a lot and how they sound. And then you hear how other Korean learners sound. And then you hear another person whose their sentences are on this level, but their intonation is not. And that doesn't make any sense, because if they knew the words they were saying, they would not use that intonation to say it. That's when you know they're reading. Even if you can't see their face and see their eyes scanning, you can tell by how they're pronouncing things, like how their intonation is. It's not just incorrect intonation and incorrect pronunciation, because people can speak fluent Korean and not have great intonation. That's not what it is. But it's intonation. It's no intonation. It's random intonation where they themselves are not doing any intonation because they're just reading and they're trying to guess. I don't know where I should put the intonation because I don't know what I'm saying. That's how the intonation gets weird. So you can still have incorrect intonation and be fluent, but if your intonation, you don't know what the words you're saying are, you're not going to be able to have intonation correct. That's correct when you're doing that. And yes, Keith, you can totally do it. I will just recommend a lot more Korean listening practice than you're doing, because people always underestimate how much listening practice it takes to get good at Korean. Even though listening practice alone won't get you good at Korean, you still need a ton of listening practice. And people just underestimate that. They think, oh, if I do like an hour a week, that should be good. Like, no, that's not enough for fluency. It's enough for like a basic conversation, basic level. But it's not enough for what most people would consider like fluent or fully conversational. You need like hours per week at least. Mikey says, do you dread the flight to and from Korea? No, it's okay. I just don't like being tired, because when I take the flight, it's like you get sweaty and then you get cold and you get tired, and like I have to shave because I've been on the flight for so long. My beard starts to grow back out and you're just sweaty from, being outside in the heat and then coming inside and it's cold and going back outside again. It's just all that sort of stuff, and making sure you get your bag and going through the customs, and you're like, oh, make sure I have my forms all done. But it's not like I dread it. It's okay. It feels like I'm just going into work. Like, oh, I have to do this, 15-hour shift. All right, let's just get it done. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like work. My Korean sounds terrible, but hey, I've only been studying for 2 months. Well, it's normal. Don't worry about it. Keep going. You'll get there. Though I sound awful, I sound so much better than where I started. That's the dream. Just that you sound better than you did before. Took some recordings of me practicing when I started out. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really good. It's so embarrassing though. I have recordings of myself when I was starting Japanese. I don't have recordings I do have a couple actually. I have some audio recordings of me when I was doing Korean somewhere. But I have a bunch of audio from when I was doing Japanese. It is so embarrassing. You're never going to hear them, but it's good. It was good motivation for me at the time, because then I would hear, like, just a few months later after recording, I'd be like, wow, I sound so much better than that. Or I know so much more than that. Or like, I didn't even know the words I was saying at that time, but now I do. 대부분 이해되는데 말하기 실력 안 되거든요. 저도 유튜브 보는데 그중에 빌리 채널도 봐요. Do Koreans like, oh, it's small. It's not a 15-hour flight. I'm saying like 15 hours, including like the time of getting to the airport, waiting at the airport until you get to Korea. And then it's longer to get from the Incheon airport to my destination, waiting for the bus to get there, taking the taxi to my room, all that stuff. But just from my house to LAX, waiting at LAX for my flight, taking my flight, going there, all that stuff is about. It's long. It's about a 13-hour flight, 12 to 13-hour flight to get there, and about an 11-hour flight to get back because of the winds. You and a beard? Yes, I do get stubble in the same day. So I'll get a 5 o'clock shadow every day. I know you won't believe it because I'm always so clean shaven, but that's because I literally shave like a couple hours before I start these live streams. But when I do my live streams in Korea, and by the time I finish, like I think I did a live stream where I went until like 2 o'clock or something like that once. And by the time it's like 3, 4, I can feel like, and whenever I do my videos where I go to another city to film, I have to wake up really early. So I'll shave at like 6 in the morning. By the time I leave and it's like 6 at night, it's already like, I can't appear on camera. I can't appear on camera like this. So yeah, I would grow a beard probably in a few days if I don't shave, but I always make sure to shave at least once a day. So you guys never see that. Members only footage. Me and a beard. I could do it. Like if I didn't shave for a week, it would legitimately have, I think I would legitimately have like a beard out. Is there such a thing as K-drama novels? I haven't heard of that. Unless you're talking about like a novel book that's based on a K-drama, there might be. 듣기는 대충 들려요. Just Ji-hoon Lee and Hai are talking with each other. Did you know when you started learning Korean that you would live there? I do not live there. So no, I didn't know that I would live there, but that's because I don't live there. Did you also know you'd marry a Korean? No, I definitely never thought that. I did not want to marry a Korean at all. I just met my wife, and she's not like the other Koreans. She's not like the other girls, as they say. But yeah, no, I was not interested in marrying a Korean. And you might not want to marry a Korean guy. Without dissing people, because everyone's different. I'll say that. Everyone's different. But be cautious. You might not want to marry a Korean guy just because they're Korean. I'll say this for any gender. Just because they're Korean doesn't mean you're going to like them. Just because you watch lots of Korean dramas, that's not how people act. Koreans also watch Korean dramas, and it's like a fantasy. It's not how people actually act. Variety shows are not how people actually act in Korea. No, no, no. So if you meet a Korean, do not expect that. Just like someone watching an American movie. Let's say you watch a movie with, you watch Mission Impossible, right? They come to America. They're like, wow, Tom Cruise, the perfect guy for me. So action-packed, so passionate, so smart, so funny, so strong, all that. No, no, no. Don't get your knowledge of Korean dating culture from watching TV shows. Yeah. And the same goes for Korean celebrities, especially Korean K-pop celebrities. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Spill tea. Yeah, I'll just say that, it's not very accurate. It's not, they don't. So we like, in the West, we like what we call, it's not really chivalry, but we call it that. Opening doors, being really polite, trying to be romantic. Oh, it's our anniversary. Let's set up flowers, reserve a special restaurant. Oh, so sorry. It was my mistake. I'll never do that again. Oh, I didn't even mean that. I'm so sorry. So, this kind of like, we have this fantasy of how romantic relationships should be in the West. And you watch Korean dramas and it's even more so. The men are super protective and, really devoted and would do anything and would die for you. That's not what reality is like. Koreans are not like that at all. And then you get that plus, okay, Korean guys, you are really cool, but you're not like how you appear in Korean dramas. And the same with Korean girls. Okay, I don't think anyone's going to get offended hearing that. Korean guys and Korean girls, you are not like you are acting in Korean dramas. Okay, I think we can agree on that. Yeah. Korean men have it really hard. Korean girls have it really hard too. Korean men have it hard for a different reason. But Korean people all are expected to do really well in school. They get put so much pressure on them to do really well in school, all the way until they graduate. Then they got to get into a good college. Then they still have pressure on them to do really well at college, all the way until they graduate then. Then they have a lot of pressure on them to get a good job. You have to make a lot of money. Get an apartment for yourself. Get a house for yourself. You have all these expectations. Oh, I forgot one. You got to go to the military. No time for dating. Nope. Military, 2 years. Okay, finally you're back. You're finally back from the military. You're a Korean dude, right? Let's say you're a cool Korean dude. You're chill, you're friendly, you're honest. You just got back from the military. You have never been to a single party in your life. You have only been to social events at your school or like school clubs, after school clubs. You have a different experience than the average Western person did, where you get home from school at like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock and you just play with your friends. You go on computer games and, you go together with your friends to play computer games, or you meet your friends at the park. Like that sort of thing is like a Western culture thing. Koreans are too busy for that. So how are you supposed to learn how to date girls if you don't get given opportunities to do that? You might have your first girlfriend, like actual girlfriend, like in your late 20s or mid 20s or whatever, like maybe right before you go into the military. While you're at college, you meet someone. It's really hard to get time to get a chance to learn these types of things. I think there are like a couple Koreans watching. Yeah, yeah, the Jiyoon leans like, you guys all gotta listen to this. I'm not gonna say guys have it harder than girls or girls have it harder than guys. You have it hard in Korea. It's really hard. It's not like we have it in the US. We get a lot of time to develop our social personalities. In the US, we are encouraged to find ourselves, right? When you're in elementary school or junior high and you're like, I don't really know what I want to do. What do your teachers say? Billy, don't worry about it. You'll figure it out. They do not say that in Korea. You don't get that. They're not going to hold your hand and comfort you about that in Korea. It's hard. You got to do everything. You got to get a good job. You got to go to this college. You got to graduate with these grades. You have to study for this test. You do not get time to build up those relationship skills that are shown in Korean dramas. Korean guys and girls do not have those skills, usually, because of how hard their upbringing has been up to that point. Now, you still end up with cool people in Korea. Despite all that, some people still figure it out. Or they're just too nice that it doesn't matter that they don't know how to talk with a girl. They're just so nice that they're still cool, right? You still get a lot of good people like that. But you can't expect that people in Korea, guys and girls, are going to be like they are in dramas, because that's fiction. They're in reality, they probably didn't have that many opportunities to learn those types of skills that we would hear, from watching our movies and stuff like that. Like we would pick that up from childhood. Oh, you got to open the door for people. You got to, let them go first. You got to do this. That kind of thing it's different over there. So yeah, I'm just saying, if you don't have expectations about what your dating life's going to be from watching Korean shows, any show. Variety shows are not reality either. Reality shows are not reality in Korea. Yeah, it's a different world. I hope I haven't said something offensive. If I've said something that's incorrect, please let me know. I will try to correct the record. Again, I'm not a Korean, so I don't know everything. This is my perspective from what I've seen. But I've met a lot of Korean guys, and I met some really cool Korean guys. But yeah, I haven't met anyone that sounds or acts like they came out of a drama ever. No one is like that. Like, yeah. And I'm curious now, what does Hai think? 하이님하고 지훈님은 어떻게 생각하시나요? Did you understand everything I said? Yeah, Yamba, why do some people get so delulu when it comes to Korea? Yoon says, I think it can be applied to TV in general. Yeah, but I don't think there's an issue with people watching American TV show and expecting a certain life. Like, they don't put their whole realities based on the lives that they see people having in Desperate Housewives, right? You might have false expectations about the US from watching the news in Korea and from watching TV in Korea. You might think, oh, Americans all do this and all do this. It's not harmful, though, because it's more like expectations about things that we do. Like, oh, Americans all go to prom. That seems so cool. You have giant parties and helicopters land, and like, yeah, it's a little exaggerated in movies, right? But we still do go to prom. We still do have those experiences. It's just not quite that much. Whereas Korea, it's just completely different. It's not like, life's not like that. Yeah, we play too much, sure. But relatively, we have more time to do those types of things. Like I grew up I watched a lot of sitcoms. I watched a lot of TV shows. I watched every episode of Quantum Leap. I used to watch the original Star Trek. I watched all of A-Team. I couldn't have time to do that if I was born in Korea. Like when would I watch that? Maybe in college, you can have time to do that as a college student in Korea. Not up through high school though. You just don't have that extra time. Okay, that was way more ranting than I meant to do. I apologize if someone's watching and they're like, Billy, I disagree with what you said about this. Please tell me. I'm open to being corrected. Aiden Gray says, I'm moving to Korea and I'm scared I won't learn enough Korean. I'm starting your beginner's course. I want to say thank you. I struggle with learning languages. Oh, nice. If you're moving to Korea, you're going to learn Korean. Aiden, just make sure you only watch as much Korean shows as you can when you're there. Make as many Korean friends that you can when you're there. If you can make 3 friends that speak to you in only Korean, you're going to be fine. If you just make friends that speak Korean, you're going to be fine there. I wouldn't stress about learning Korean so much if you're in Korea because of that. Star Trek's, yeah, I used to watch the original series a lot. I haven't watched too much of the newer stuff, although I did like Next Generation. I didn't see every episode of it. But yeah, I used to watch tons of TV shows. I'd have a lot of time for that. You know, you could go have time to go on dates, have time to go to like hangouts with multiple friends, and there'd be guys and girls together. So much time just to hang out. Even though I didn't hang out too much, you'd have time to do it. But the two Korean speakers here, they're not talking. I hope I didn't offend them. And they left. They're like, Billy, I can't stay around anymore. They just leave. Are you guys still here? Do you recommend any apps for learning Korean? I don't know of any right now. I made a video about 5 years ago or so about recommended apps for learning Korean. I'd just say Anki for vocab and Naver for the dictionary. And beyond that, probably not. Team sports. Yeah, team sports. I was doing sports a little bit when I was in elementary school. Knowing how to read Korean is one thing, but understanding what you're reading is another, at least for me. Yeah, you won't understand how to read Korean unless you do lots and lots of reading. Reading's a separate skill than listening, though, because the way that people write books is not the way that you speak. So if you're looking for getting better at reading books or reading novels specifically, the only way to do that is by reading more books and looking up the words. And eventually you'll be looking up fewer and fewer words. But again, that's not going to make you better at speaking or listening that much, because a lot of it is words that you wouldn't use and grammar you wouldn't use when speaking. There's a lot of that in books, but that's the best way to do it, is just read more. I, for myself, don't read that much fiction. I'll read like articles and I'll read like dictionary entries and what my friends write, which is conversation, but not novels and books. So I would, if I were to open up a novel, I would have a dictionary next to me. That way I can look up some words that I don't know. 몰라요. 1K, that's bad. Tell me your opinion. Tell me your opinion. I won't get mad, I promise. Knowing how to read Korean is one thing, but understanding what you're reading. Oh, that's right. I already read that. Aiden says, any fun activities? You can try to, if you're living there, you're going to have a Korean phone. So you can download the app 소모임, which is just like Meetup. Basically, it's like a Meetup app, but you need a Korean phone number to register. And you can find a Meetup for something that you're interested in, like board games. They might even have a D&D group over there. I'm sure someone does it. Running and bike riding is really common. There are lots of those. Some hiking groups, photography groups, book clubs, all that stuff. One day you're going to have to try some of the apps since you're asked so much. Yeah, I did before, but I think the problem is that apps are designed as a really quick way to just get you a bunch of knowledge of something. And they kind of boil down to an app that just gives you a bunch of vocabulary, which, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but I don't really know what type of feature would make an app helpful for Korean. Like conversation, you can have apps for making language exchange partners. That's useful. But like apps for learning Korean, I don't really see the benefit. 아무 생각 없이 듣고 있어요. 한국어 배우는 사람들이나 영어 배우는 사람들이나 비슷한 입장이네요. 쉽지 않아요. I recommend the Didi app. Okay. Reading is so goated. Yeah, if you like reading books, read books. Do something that you enjoy. Will always be an easier way to learn Korean is if you can find content that you enjoy. Any dictionary recommendations? I recommend Naver, or if it's got too much stuff in there, because it is a bit bloated, then do the Korean Learner's Dictionary, which you can just Google Korean Learner Dictionary. You'll find it. That's like a simplified version made for Korean learners. That is also good. Does that reading is different than listening also apply to the conversation characters are having? Yes, that's true. When you look at conversations in Korean teaching materials, they're always going to be different than real conversations, with exception of my conversation course, which I specifically made it to be real conversations. But if it's not like that, it's always going to be a little bit different. Like in my books, Korean Made Simple, the conversations are focused on the grammar forms that you're learning in the chapter. So they're all real sentences. But if you were to give that script to someone and say, have this conversation, they would say, oh, it sounds unnatural because it's not what they would talk about. Like they wouldn't say, what are you going to eat tonight for dinner? Well, I am not sure. I think I will have cheesecake. How about you? Like, people don't really talk like that, even though it's perfect Korean. You could talk like that, but you probably wouldn't. So if you want, but you have to learn that to start. You have to learn the form somehow. So yeah, I would say if you're looking for real conversations, you need to listen to real conversations. And if you want to learn grammar, you can't really do both at the same time. It's kind of hard to do both. I'm learning Korean and Mandarin simultaneously. I'm putting the same effort into both languages. Oh, I should probably turn off my live stream now. I've been going for a while. Thank you for everyone, though, who's sticking around and still watching, despite rambling about like dating culture in Korea, which I know nothing about. I'm learning Korean and Mandarin. Unlike Mandarin, I'm having a lot of difficulty understanding what Koreans say. Yeah, there are more possible sounds that you can hear in Korean, but it's really just a matter of more listening practice. You just need more listening practice. That's the answer. More listening practice. Are you saying if you like reading, you can talk about that specific topic in Korean? I'm not quite sure what your question is. Could you rephrase it? Frozen Dragoon says, nice plug. I'm not quite there yet. Okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. Like I said, the conversation course would be after you've done at least the first 2 books. I'd say after the first 2 books, you're probably safe to go into there. But by the first one, I still wouldn't go into the conversation course yet. You can still use it, but it'll be more helpful when you're not stressing about the basics, when you can start to focus on the conversational only grammar forms. Like that's when it gets really useful. Also, Didi has a free AI read aloud function. Okay. Hichukada tumok. Yeah, there are a lot of words that you're not going to use when you're speaking, but you'll hear it when you're reading. Actual published Korean. Ah, okay. Yeah. It's different. Books are written using literary Korean. So there will be grammar forms in books that sound natural, but would not be used in speech unless you're actually giving a speech. I'm a beginner. I barely know Canada. Well, it's good you know Canada. Those are the first three. Tateman, ba. Oh, there's a letter missing a consonant. You have to have, every syllable needs at least one vowel and one consonant, and you have one syllable which is just the vowel o, but it needs a consonant there. Korean is easy, but only if I don't have to read it. I love listening, not reading, and that's a bad habit for someone who wants to improve their writing. Yeah. Charlie Kim says, do I need to say 저는 before saying all these things about myself? Can I drop the 저는 after basically introducing my name? Yeah, Charlie, you might want to start with my conversation, not my conversation course. That would be a bit hard to start with. The beginner Korean course on my YouTube channel, which teaches exactly what you're asking, but you wouldn't need it at all after they know you're talking about yourself. You say it once so that they know you're talking about yourself, and everything else you say after that is also still talking about yourself. You definitely don't want to say 저는 미국 사람이고 저는 한국어를 좋아해요. 저는 올해 한국에 가요. Like, you don't want to do 저는 for every sentence. That's really weird in Korean. They don't use pronouns in Korean at all. And even 저는 is only used at the first sentence to say, this is what I'm going to talk about, like for me, and that's it. You don't need to emphasize it after that. Okay, that's enough about rant. I don't even know what we're talking about again. That is enough for this class. If you have any topics that you would like me to teach for next Sunday's live stream, please leave a comment in my Discord channel. You can ping me if you want, and I'll add it to the voting options for this next Sunday. So we'll have one more class a week from today, which will be an actual class. Today was just a Q&A. We'll have another class Sunday, and then that'll be the last class until, I believe, August, when I come back for the live stream. So everyone, thank you for coming. Yeah, next Sunday will be the last class, and then I'll be off in Korea for the summertime. And I will see you guys again next week on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day for all of those, anyone out there, if you're a mother or not, I actually don't care. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. Whether you have kids or not, you still get the Happy Mother's Day. Take care, and I will see you guys next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.